Hello there, YouTube. What is going on now? It's me, Gabriel Nilo here, founder of Weather Buddies Forecasting Central. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. And if you are, good. Glad to hear that. If you aren't, I'm sorry. Maybe you can have a better day. I'm going to be doing another U.S. weather forecast. This is going to be a 7-day forecast. I'm going to be covering precipitation and temperature. And then I'm going to be covering my own forecast at the end. If you also happen to love weather-related content, like watching my videos, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, give the video a thumbs up, share with family and friends, and do not forget to ring that bell notification icon to stay with the latest. Thank you, and let's get started with the video. Alrighty, here I am with our U.S. weather forecast as of September 23, 2023. A somewhat active pattern. So let me just quickly explain this real quickly because I have been reviewing the models. There's only two models in fair agreement. It's the GFS and the CMC. And it's not a super active pattern. It's just somewhat active. Mostly scattered thunderstorms across the very far northwestern United States and most of the eastern half of the United States. But let's get started with the video, shall we? Okay, so we're going to start with the GFS model, of course. Okay, so we got a little system over here in the Dakotas and Minnesota, which I do know that they need rain in that area, so this is kind of welcoming. A cluster of thunderstorms down to just to the south of that area, Oklahoma and Arkansas, right along that border right there. And then we got another weak low pressure system. This is actually going to exit out on the next slide, but we do got another weak low pressure system forming, or trying to develop, I should be saying, over Pennsylvania right there, Virginia and Pennsylvania. As for the northwest, you guys will start to see a stormier pattern. Tomorrow and today may be the only days in Seattle, Washington that are going to probably have some sun, so enjoy it while you can, because a lot of the northwest is going to be very active during this whole thing. So, and again, we're going to be covering the CMC model after this. So again, this is Sunday, September 24th. Now we're going to Monday, September 25th. Let's go. Okay, storms. Those two systems have weakened, as you can tell. Scattered thunderstorms in Arkansas and northern parts of Louisiana. And again, Minnesota getting some scattered activity. Not too much in Florida right now, but some scattered activity there. There's that northwest thing I was telling you about. So again, enjoy today and tomorrow, because after tomorrow, it's going to be really active in the northwest, especially in Seattle. That's weak system exiting the northeast. Looks like it's going to... So it's not going to impact New England much, so that's good. Okay, and yeah. So again, that's Monday, September 25th. As for the rest of the country, we're just mostly going to be dry. So the driest areas we're going to have is generally in this area that I circled right there. That's where it's going to be. It's where a lot of the dry weather is going to be at least more to the south of this line, where you're going to search more dry weather. To the north of that, there's going to be some storms, but not a whole lot. Okay. Alright, we're moving on to September 26th now. Okay, so again, scattered activity across the east, including Florida and parts of the mid-south, right there, Gulf of Mexico. Again, that's why it's a somewhat active pattern, because we also got storms shooting the northwest, Washington and Oregon, also in northern California. Some slightly scattered activity in east central New Mexico, not too impressive, but... And then leftover rainstorms from that storm system at the beginning of this slide that's now affecting Wisconsin and northern Illinois. So you guys, hopefully that's much needed rain for you guys. Hopefully it actually increase in the coming model runs. We'll have to just wait and see. But we are going to keep an eye on this area because they've had a dry summer up there, and even in Michigan as well. And as you can tell, as you probably will notice throughout the slides, Michigan's not going to get hit much, which sucks, because I know they need it too. Alright, moving on to the next slide. There you go, that scattered activities moving to the south and east. Now it's right over Illinois and Indiana. Scattered activity in the mid-Atlantic, and scattered activity in the Gulf of Mexico and Florida. As for the northwest, it's also going to be still active. Again, you have more intruding storms approaching Seattle, Washington. That's why I'm telling you guys, enjoy it while you can, because it's going to be active for you guys the next 7 days. Well, the day after starting after tomorrow. Okay. Nothing in the interior New England states. It looks quiet there for right now. Kind of will be there for a minute. So yeah. Alright. So again, this is September 27th, Wednesday. Now we're on Thursday. Again, more scattered. Sorry about that. More scattered activity to the south, the Gulf, and some scattered activity in the Midwest. So again, that's that. This stuff in the Midwest is the previous moisture that was originally was a low pressure system over the Dakotas and Minnesota, but it quickly fell apart and just turned to a normal cluster of thunderstorms. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, these models do not pick up on very many thunderstorm activities. So, scattered, when I say scattered showers and thunderstorms across this area I just circled, it just means that not even strong thunderstorms, but garden variety type thunderstorms, like up here and down here. Now, I'd say down to the south, though, where I just circled there, they could be stronger thunderstorms, but generally, this whole area that I just circled, so this whole eastern half of the United States I just circled, is just going to be general thunderstorm activity. And again, the models don't really, the GFS and the CMC don't really pick up on that, so, because they're low resolution models. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, moving on to Friday, September 29th. And look at this. Now, don't get your hopes up on this, because this is 6 days out, guys. 6 days out. So, but there's expected to be some snowfall in Idaho and Montana, which, if that holds together, that'd be great. Again, scattered activity in northwestern Nevada. Small, very, very small, isolated activity in the parts of New Mexico and Oklahoma and Texas. While scattered activity continues to the off the Gulf Coast. Okay, and again, more scattered activity in the Midwest. So again, and when I say scattered activity, I'm not referring just to thunderstorms, but showers in general. Okay. Okay, I think we've got one more slide after this. If this is our last slide, it's starting to look pretty active here. But Florida seems to have a nice plume of moisture. Ignore that, guys. I'll consider that after my video here. But a nice plume of moisture right over, well, Florida. And then again, very, very light scattered nature, but very isolated, I should be saying, across this part of the country where I just circled. And then it does start to look like it's getting a little active again in Dakotas and Wyoming. It also looks like there could be potential snow showers in northern Colorado. Gotta keep an eye on that. And then, for the Northwest, again, you guys are getting hit hard again. So, that, again, you guys may not see the sun for a while. So I'm just saying right now, be prepared. Okay, Canadian model, CMC, that's the Canadian model. Okay, this one's a little bit more aggressive with these two low pressure systems, as I can see here. Also a little bit more aggressive with this little cluster of storms to the south. They're right over Arkansas, actually. And this model has a tendency to be colder. It has a colder bias too, so you may see occasional snow showers popping up in that area. I just circled in the Intermountain West, pretty much right over the Yosemite and the Yellowstone Park areas. Okay, so that's the first slide. Again, this is Sunday, September 24th. Let's go on to the next slide. Once again, weakening significantly, but it is over some areas that really need it. And again, this actually is hanging on. So the only difference between this model and the GFS, this model is actually holding on to the scattered thunderstorms down there in the Red River of the South. We also are seeing more storm action occurring across the Northwest. Again, this is the 25th. This is when that streak of wet, gray, stormy pattern starts to continue. So you guys know now. And not a whole lot with this low pressure system at this point is pretty much exiting, while this one's weakening. And this cluster of thunderstorms could be associated with a low pressure system. Not sure what, but we'll keep an eye on it in the next slide. So again, okay, so that was Monday, September 25th. Moving on to Monday, September 26th. Wisconsin is getting hit, so that's good. Again, Michigan's not getting anything, which really sucks, because I know they're moisture starved right now. Parts of the lower end of the Midwest, or southeast side of the Midwest, I should be saying, Pennsylvania, you guys can experience scattered activity, along with the south down here in the Gulf of Mexico experience scattered activity. From this particular slide, it's dry in the upper Great Plains, or western plains, and parts of the mountains, while the Northwest is getting hammered pretty good. Looks like Northern California is going to get impacted by this a little bit too, but mostly Oregon and Washington, these states right here, are going to get hit hardest. So keep an eye on that. Okay, we're moving on to the next slide here. So that was Tuesday, September 26th. Now we're on Wednesday, September 27th. Again, scattered activity. scattered activity. Whoa, sorry. I have to go back to that one slide. Hold on, guys. I accidentally hit. Go back to that one slide we were just at. That one we were just at? Yeah, that was the one we were just at. Sorry about that, guys. I accidentally hit the wrong thing. Okay. Alright. Excuse me. Okay, so again, the Northwest is going to get impacted, and almost the whole entire Midwestern states are going to get impacted too. While the Gulf also got some scattered activity. These are stronger thunderstorms again, so these are going to be stronger. While to the north, there's just going to be more garden variety type thunderstorms. We also got a little corridor of storms right along the spine of the Appalachian Mountains, actually, which is kind of interesting because the Appalachian Mountains usually don't really generate thunderstorms, but in this case, that's what's going on. And then very weak storming activity across New Mexico and Texas. So yeah. Alright, now we can move on to the next slide. Again, I do apologize for that, guys. I accidentally hit the wrong thing on my Epic Pen here. Okay. Storming in the Northwest, the usual procedure. Starting to get stormy in the northern part of the states. And then, right over Ohio and Indiana, it's going to be stormy there. And Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, and the Carolinas could be experiencing some scattered activity. So, again, while the rest of the country at this point is mostly dry, just make that circle bigger. So, in this area I just circled is dry, on the dry side, during this particular frame. Okay, alright. I believe we have one more slide after this when it comes to precipitation, then we're going to move on to temperature. Okay, and again, Northwest is not as active as it was in the GFS, but it's still showing something. Scattered activity across the Great Plains, the Western Corn Belt, and the Eastern Corn Belt. And then, of course, across the South there in Florida, still getting hammered by some leftover storms. And for the rest of the country, just dry. Just dry, there's not much going on. Okay, so one more slide, here we go. So this will be September 30th, Saturday. So it's funny because this model is also picking up on snowstorm activity there too. But it's a day later than it is than the GFS. The GFS showed it on the 29th. The Canadian model is showing it on the 30th. So it is a little weird that both models are picking up on it, but in a completely separate. It's just two days a day apart. It's yeah, scattered activity across Florida and parts of the Gulf of Mexico, and then again more scattered activity. Again, much more needing rains in the Dakotas and parts of Minnesota. So, okay, we are about to move on to our temperature forecast. Guys, ready? Right, let's go. Temperature forecast. GFS model, of course. Okay. Now, when you're looking at this forecast, it's gonna be very it's going to be very unfriendly when it comes to cooler temperatures. So when you guys see all these red shades, don't put full hope and trust in them, because first of all, models temperature forecasts always have a tendency to show above average temperatures. Okay, and I'm not sure exactly why models do that, but they always have a tendency to do that. So if you live in an area that's expected to have cooler weather, like let's say maybe you're in Missouri and Arkansas, if you're expected to have colder, well, it's not the same real, this is hypothetical. If you expect to have cooler weather, like temperatures in the 60s or 70s, well, this anomaly, because it's an anomaly, it goes based off of average temperature, may pick up on warmer temperatures. So that doesn't always mean you're going to have warmer weather. It just means that the weather in your general area from previous model runs and stuff like that is showing warmer bias. Okay, hope I was able to explain that. Okay, so anyways, most of the mid-south to the west parts of the Corn Belt, a little bit on the above average side. The mid-Atlantic and very eastern quadrant of the United States, slightly below average. Same with the West Coast, and from Montana to New Mexico, it can experience slightly above average temperatures, except for Wyoming and Colorado. Those areas can be a little bit cooler. But let's go on to the next slide. Now, so again, this is Sunday, September 24th. Now we're on Monday, September 25th. Again, showing cool weather off the coast. Kind of doing that on both sides here. While the whole center of the country can experience Again, not fully, but above average temperatures. Okay, again, this is just based off of averages because again, it's an anomaly. It's not an actual temperature forecast, so that makes sense. Okay. All right, moving forward. Once again, warmer than average conditions, mostly in the Intermountain West, now all the way down to the Southwest. It does start to back off a little bit here in the eastern half of the United States and parts of the Midwest, so that's good. While Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia continue to experience slightly cooler weather there too because of those thunderstorms they're having in the Gulf of Mexico, so that could affect the temperatures here. Okay, all right. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, again, September 27th, Wednesday. It's starting to cool off in the northwest, while really a nice cool patch right there over the interior New England states and Pennsylvania. That should be nice. And then again, most of the middle part of the country, well above average. But again, it's not completely. Again, this is not temperature. It's not actual temperature. I know I keep reiterating that, guys. I'm just trying to tell you that this is not actual temperature. Okay, so if you do happen to live in an area where it's red, it may not be all that red. Now, my temperature forecast, just a spoiler alert, my temperature forecast does show a mostly above average across the country, just because of what we're seeing here. Again, it's based off of probability and averages. Okay, while okay, the Northeast and New England states are still staying cool. Maine's a little bit on the warm side, a little bit, not too bad. And then Florida, about average. Again, Northwest is having kind of a cool shot there. And, yeah. Alright, we're moving on to the next slide. You guys ready? So that was Thursday, September 28th. Now we're on Friday, September 29th. So this, I have a hard time kind of believing that this is going to happen. But as of right now, they're calling for a well above average. I'm sorry for the thing over the color bar. So we're looking probably about 12 to 16 degrees above average. Of course, that's not going to be that warm, I don't think. So, again, the Northwest, almost the whole western half of the country is going to start cooling off. And then, of course, the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic stays cool. The New England states stay mild, on the warmer side, but yeah. Okay, we have one more slide here. And then we'll move on to my forecast, which I hope you guys are excited to look at. Okay, again, you could have a cold front that could be potentially right there. There could be a possible cold front right here. Just show you where it's at. And the reason why I say that is because, as you notice, there's not a strong intrusion of cold air, but it's a weak intrusion of cold air. And it's cool air, actually. And it's expected to create a cold front in this area. So, yeah. Don't mind the squeaking door in the background. I have some guests over here, so if you guys hear any noise in the background, just try to ignore it. Okay. Alright. One more slot. Alright, so now... Oh, yes, I gotta do the CMC model. Sorry, guys, I meant to tell you about that. Okay, so the CMC model is going to be a little bit more aggressive on the cooler pattern across the west. Part of the east, too. Okay, so... Generally, like in Florida, for instance, that's not what the GFS was showing. It was showing about average. You can actually clearly see a low pressure system right there. It's the curly Q right there. And again, a cooler mid to South Atlantic temperature, you know. And again, across almost the whole western half of the United States could experience below average temperatures from this model too. All right, so that was tomorrow. Now we're on Monday. Again, a whole area of cool weather, literally right engulfing pretty much most of the Intermountain West, parts of the desert Southwest. It's just crazy how this model always has a tendency to always be cooler than the GFS or the European. Again, it's starting to warm up in the southeast, as you can tell. It's still really, let's just say that it's still really warm in this quarter. So if you guys want to, I'm trying to shout out some states here: Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. Unfortunately, Michigan is still getting hit by hot weather, and Wisconsin and Minnesota. Parts of Ohio, too. So you guys are going to be experiencing hot weather in those areas. Okay. Hold on a second, guys. This video is taking a little longer than I intended it would have, but just hang in there with me, guys. We'll get to my forecast. Okay, so Tuesday, September 26th. Warm across the eastern half of the United States. Well, there's still a cold pocket aloft in the inner Mountain West and the Southwest, which is kind of unusual to see that because these areas are usually, I mean, it's the desert, and you'd expect there to be more hot weather over here than over here. And then the weird thing is, the colder weather has been hanging on in this area I just circled, and it's just crazy because usually cooler weather doesn't hang on in areas like that. So I don't know. We'll just gotta keep an eye on it and see what happens. All right. Did I move on to yes? I moved on to the next slide. Okay, so we're on Wednesday, September 27th. Yeah, no, we didn't do this one yet. Okay, so again, cooler across the west. Okay, while even the see, that's what I'm saying. The Canadian model list has a tendency to do this. It says that it's going to be cooler in the New England states too. There's a lot more cooler bias in this model than there is in the GFS, as you can tell. The warmest area you're going to have is really the Midwest, Mid-South, and the Eastern Great Plains. That's pretty much where you're just going to see warmer than average temperatures in the area I just circled. Okay, so now we're on September 28th. That's Thursday. Again, a very active, or very warm pattern across the mid part of the country, while the western half stays cool, and some of the very far, I'd say eastern, maybe quadrant of just mainly in New England states. Again, keeps this below average bias in the west. Yeah. So okay, I think we got two more. So we got this one and one more of this, and then we'll move on to my forecast. Okay. So again, same deal, same drill. Cool in the western half of the United States, cool in the Atlantic, and warm in between. So but like I explained before, it doesn't mean that this is going to be hot, or we're not talking about like 90s or 100s. We're probably talking maybe upper 70s the most in this area, and probably lower 80s. The same thing applies with the cool temperatures. It may not be in the 50s, 60s, and even 40s every day. It can be the temperature can be in the 70s or 80s. It just depends on your location. You know what I mean? All right, you guys ready? Wait, one more slide here, and then you guys should be ready. Okay, again, this is just an estimate. Okay, and for some other reason, this model is picking up what looks to be like a cold blast. It's really hard to say what this is going to be because this is far, far out, but we got to keep an eye on it to see what happens. As for Southwest and the Inner Mountain West, it's going to be cooler than average. It's funny because New Mexico is actually going to be cooler than Colorado, which is really unusual to see that. That never really ever happens. Rarely ever happens. And then, of course, in New England states and parts of the Mid-Atlantic, you guys got some cooler temperatures there too. Florida stays about average. Parts of the South, and yeah. Alright guys, we are going to move on to my forecast. You all excited? Alright, here we go. First one's going to be temperature, of course. Here we go. Okay. Like I said, this is probability. This is not actual temperature, okay? Again, I'm going based off anomalies. Now, why is this whole area circled in red like what the models are saying? Partly because at this time of year, usually around late September into early October, we tend to have what they call an Indian summer in parts of the United States. Some years it can be just it can apply to here in the west. Some years it'll apply in the east, and some years it'll apply in the middle of the country. This year is one of those years where I think the Indian summer is going to, in fact, engulf most of the middle part of the country. Pretty much outside this red, all this orange and yellow, that's gonna be a lot more on the cooler side. But again, I do believe that the Indian summer is going to generally impact the middle part of the country. Some states on the border of this above average could experience maybe an Indian summer too. And it's mostly going to be confined in the middle part of the country. And again, it is because I did see on the models that they were showing consistent above average temperatures in most of the northern area. So we figured, that that's what I would come up with. Okay, so yeah. And then again, the Northwest, which is not unusual that I marked that area and slightly below average, but it's going to be below average in the Washington and Oregon states, very far northwestern tip of California, and then slightly below average in California, northwestern tip of Nevada, Oregon, and Washington, and parts of Idaho and Montana. Okay? Alright, now we're moving on to our precipitation forecast. Guys, ready? Here we are. Again, this is what I mean by being a somewhat active pattern. Most of the eastern half of the U.S. could experience slightly above average precipitation anywhere in that area I just circled. And then, of course, because the Northwest is going to get hammered, and models do agree, anywhere above that line could get hit hardest and have the most precipitation. Okay. As for the desert Southwest and parts of California, we can experience slightly to below average precipitation. Okay. But that is all I have for you guys today. I'm sorry the video took a little longer than I expected, but I hope you guys enjoyed the weather forecast, and if you guys saw it until, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, share with family and friends, and do not forget to ring that bell notification, keep you up with the latest. Alrighty, you guys have a great day.